What's going on? This your boy Chris Simmons coming to you with another podcast episode on this Thursday night. It's a little late for you, boy. Usually I like to do I record my episodes during the day, but I had a very special guest that wanted to come on tonight. For those of you who aren't familiar, he was actually on one of my recent, well, not recent, but previous episodes back in May. Actually, I think it was May because I think it was in May because I was still in the cast and we was in quarantine at that time. But my parents happened to allow him to come in my house. I don't know how the heck he got past the boundary, but he did. I mean, I guess my parents trusted him enough to come in the house, but we couldn't really go all over the house. But we was basically in the basement. If we weren't in the basement, we had to be outside. But we were able to get a podcast episode in that day, and he opened up about his story, about his depression, because I know he was dealing with depression pretty heavily back then. I think he's doing better now. He looks pretty good. He's been telling me about his workouts. My man has been getting swole. I mean, he texts me like he'll give me some updates on his new PRs. I think the recent one I got was when he hit 285 for one. So I mean, this boy catching up to me. To be honest with you, he getting slow. I don't know what he be in, but I have to get on his diet plan for real, for real. You go to Ohio State University, the Ohio State University. I'm sorry about his team in the March Madness bracket because they just lost to a 15 seed. I don't know how that happened, but you know what?
Sweet 16.
You know what? It's all good, man. Hopefully this next year. So hopefully y'all can play better next year. But you know what? Looks like he's still he's still okay. He's still doing good. I know Ohio State took L's this year, man. They took an L in the national championship and they took an L in the March Madness bracket. But it's all good, man. The school is still pretty good, and looks like he's doing his thing over there at Ohio State. But without further ado, let me introduce y'all to my man, Kiran Shanker. What's going on, big dog? How you feeling, bro?
Feeling good. God is good, and thanks for having me on the show tonight. We got something very important to talk about.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. We got so many topics that we want to hit. But first of all, man, I haven't seen you in a minute. Though. I haven't really talked to you in a minute, man. I want to know how you been doing, bro.
Yeah, got an internship for this summer, and we did talk about that a couple weeks ago. Also, just finishing up school here in the next month, pretty much at the end of April, final exams. And speaking of school, that's going to be our topic for today. We're going to be discussing the topics about what it's like to come in as a freshman to a big or even a smaller university.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I mean that's what we're gonna be hitting tonight, man. Because I know, man, the time to go by so fast, man. I can't believe me and him are almost seniors, man. You know what I'm saying? So it was funny how we mentioned that because yesterday, man, me and my boy Shay, who's my friend at Kent State, we was actually walking around campus yesterday, and we just we're kind of reminiscing on the times when we were freshmen and how we used to walk over here, we used to walk to this place, we used to walk to the gym and just all these places around campus. But it's just so different now because with the virus, everything's mainly online. So yeah, freshman year for me though, it was a crazy year for me. Like now I wasn't really, going into it thinking like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna party and do all this other stuff. I came in like, okay, like I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna get my education, but I'm also gonna have fun too. Don't get me wrong, I still have fun. Like I think freshman year was the year I experimented with going to parties. I didn't really drink. Now I didn't drink or nothing like that. I still didn't drink. Still didn't smoke. I didn't do none of that because I still wasn't a big fan of that. I still didn't, I still wasn't getting caught up in that lifestyle. But I was going out to parties still. Like I was around that, but I was able to control myself for real. Um, but yeah, man, I was getting caught up in trying to meet some females. I know I was really trying to get that get that brotherly love, you know what I'm saying? Just trying to get that extra love in there. You know what I'm talking about, fellas. Y'all know what I'm talking about, man. But yeah, freshman year for me was like kind of like the experimental year. Um, just trying to get involved in some different things, trying to meet new people. Because coming from Cincy, I didn't really know too many people going up to Kent State. Everybody was new to me. I think only maybe one or two people from my school went to Kent State, but they were people I didn't really talk to in high school. So I met like all these new friends. I had like a great friend. I ended up meeting a great friend group. Uh, you know, we all had similar interests. We all like to play basketball. That was basically the bulk of our friend group. We like to play basketball. We like to eat at this dining hall called Eastway, which at the time we thought was like the bomb because we were freshmen. We thought everything was good. We used to love to eat at Eastway for dinner. But, that's just kind of how, my freshman year was like, before I met my group of guys, I was, mainly hanging out with my dude Shay. That's the first dude who I met on campus, and me and him went out every weekend, but that kind of settled down once I established another group of friends where we basically just all we did was basically hoop and eat, and that was pretty much it. And then after that, I really stopped going out. Now, I'm not saying that my man Shay, I stopped hanging out with my man Shay like that. He's always gonna be my dog for real, for real. But in terms of like going out to parties and everything like that, our friend group wasn't really necessarily into doing that stuff. Um, so yeah, I mean that's basically me for real. Just going in there, making new friends, just establishing my mark at Kent State for real. Just kind of just finding where I fit in, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know about you, big dog. What was your experience like, man? It could have been completely different, but
Yeah, so for anybody who's going to be a freshman, whether your parents are strict or not, there's going to be a new found sense of freedom. And if you are a freshman coming in, or maybe you're a sophomore in high school, or you've graduated, we've all heard about this new college freedom. For me, what it looked like was at St. Xavier High School in Cincinnati, I'd wake up at 5:50 a.m. on a good day when there's no football lifting in the morning and get to school at 7:30. Traffic, it would take me anywhere from 25 to 50 minutes. College, your classroom is a 10-minute walk from your dorm. If you have an 8 a.m., you're unlucky. And if you don't, you can sleep in, you can do whatever you need to do in the morning. So my freshman year, I stacked up the 8 a.m.s and I got on a routine, but I had so much time in the evening. And one thing you're going to find when you get into college is that you're going to have a lot of time to do a lot of things. And it's honestly such a great experience as a freshman to come in. You're living on your own, you're getting your food on your own. Your parents hopefully are able to support you. And if not, um, really, that's also a good experience to learn how to take care of yourself. And for me, I just also remember always eating at the dining hall. I was actually connected to my dorm. I was a lucky guy who lived in a small dorm that was connected to the meal hall, a good meal hall, that is. And the number one thing that I did freshman year is, you know me, Chris. I'm a big talker. I'm somebody who is always connecting with people. I don't really care, man. Like I see good in people and I want to bring it out of them. So even as a freshman, I didn't quite know as much about myself. There's all these opportunities, even for people who aren't as extroverted, to really just get out and know people. And if I had to lay one foundational piece of advice for freshmen coming in is to really do not be afraid to talk to people. And if you are afraid, that's okay. Because really social interaction in college can be quite it can be nerve-wracking at first when all of a sudden you're just in a town where everybody is your age and everybody is a potential like friend, if that makes sense. So to kind of levy off of what Chris is saying, like there's all these parties you can go to, everyone's living in the same dorms, same classes, you know, do not be afraid to initiate conversation. Um, I think a lot of times if you come into a school you don't know anybody, you're gonna have a lot more in common with people than you think. You may see someone like me who is outgoing and can really just entertain people. But reality is that everyone's looking for homies, you know, for a lack of for actually just that's a great way to put it. Everyone's looking for homies. And if you're a freshman coming in, I'd say that's key. You know, find a group of people who respect you. And I know we're going to get into this later, but you need to build self-efficacy. And on a more serious note, other than just having a good social life, college, it's a time to really develop who you are. Um, One thing I'll tell young men is this is where you become a man. And it's tough because in our society, as a young man, we're told to do all these things that men should not be doing. And when you get into college, you have all the opportunities to do these things in indulgence. You can indulge in all of it, and it's going to hinder your growth. And I know Chris definitely has a few things to say about that.
Yeah, man. I mean, just kind of just going off of, some of the things that my man said. I like the point where he mentioned that college is basically, you know, is where you get your freedom for real, for real. Cause I know like, a lot of people hype up going to high school. They're like, oh, high school, it's gonna be all this and all that. I'm telling you, high school is nothing compared to college. Like college, like nobody is telling you what to do for real. Nobody is really, saying, hey, get up and go to class, or hey, you gotta study for this test or that test. Everything is on you. It's you versus you at that point. Once you get to college, it's you versus you. You know what I'm saying? You got to take that responsibility to be able to hold yourself accountable, right? You got to be able to find those group of people that's also going to hold you accountable. Because there's a saying, it's like you are who you hang around. So if you hang around people that's leading you down that wrong path, it's going, you're going to run into some things in your journey that's not going to be pleasing for real. And so, when I came to college, like I told y'all, I ain't know nobody for real. Like a lot of people go to colleges where a lot of people from high school go. I chose not to go there. I chose not to go to like a UC or like, even Miami. I went to Kent, which is like where I come from, which is Cincy. A lot of people don't follow me there. A lot of people don't go up to Kent from Cincy. So, I established a whole new friend group. And what I love about my friend group is that they respect my values, and that's the thing. Like you want to surround yourself with people that's gonna respect your values and stuff, and it's not gonna try to stir you to do something that you know is not right. That's one thing. That's how you are able to have a good experience. I mean, I'm not saying don't have fun. I'm not saying stay in your room all day and do homework or nothing like that. I'm just saying like just be responsible, because if you go out there and you party and you start, you get drunk, nobody gonna come help you, man. I'm serious. Nobody gonna help you because chances are the people you with is probably drunk too, so they can't even, how they gonna help you if they can't help themselves? So, my thing is like, you know, one thing is hold yourself accountable. Find friends that's gonna also help you hold yourself accountable, and be able to make the right judgments. You know what I'm saying? Be able to make those right judgments. Like if you know that you got a test the next morning, you got to make the sacrifice. Sometimes your friends, it's gonna be easy for your friends, or not even your friends, like just people in general, to be like, hey, like, yo, there's a party on later tonight. Like, do you want to go? That's where you got to have that discipline to say, well, I can't do that right now because I gotta take care of my business. I gotta take my responsibility, because I'm telling you, if you take that responsibility now as at a young age, everything later in your life is gonna pay off. You know what I'm saying? College is just that first step right there. First step, to being able to, take responsibility for your future. Because nobody else gonna look after it. It's yours. So if you go in there with that right mindset, knowing that, hey, like if I can, have that right balance of school, fun, social, all that, you find that correct balance, your experience is gonna be a whole lot nicer. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean that's just what I would say. Just kind of piggybacking off of what my man said about being able to hold yourself responsible. Knowing how to handle that freedom that you will have. because you're gonna enter. That's basically, that's your first step into adulthood. You practicing some adulthood things. You know what I'm saying? So you just got to know how to handle that responsibility to the point where you don't end up in a situation that you're gonna want to regret. You know what I'm saying?
Speaking of regrets, really, um, that's kind of the theme of my first 2 years in college was there's a lot of things I did which I shouldn't have done. And for anybody who's coming into college, it's really easy to do what everybody else does. The college culture, it's really, to be quite honest, especially if you go to a bigger school, it's really not all about higher education, self-development, and personal responsibility. In fact, it could be quite the opposite. It can be about indulgence, instant gratification, and seeking the thrill of life, hedonism. So, like Chris said, there's going to be times where you have to have self-discipline, but really to find a balance, like I said, find friends who are going to respect you. I think as freshmen, it can be easy to come and just think you have to please everyone. Obviously, be respectful of everyone and do your best to lead um, a life in college that is cohesive to building relationships, but also know that people are gonna want you to do things that are not good for you. Just the thrill of the moment. Honestly, they don't even know any better. It's just the culture. And I really succumbed to the culture in my freshman and sophomore year. I thought it was the greatest thing ever. I thought it was a great way to live life for the next 4 years. And I look back on it, and the thing that changed is we already talked about this last year is coming to faith in God, in Christ. And once I went through that, I realized that my life purpose isn't setting me up to take shortcuts and to um, really look at these opportunities in college I have to splurge and to waste time, for lack of a better word, waste time for lack of a better term. And really, what I think is if you're coming in, you got to find your purpose, really. And that's really hard to do without faith. I know it can be hard for me not really just to push faith in Christ, but honestly, it's what will give you that purpose. And if you aren't open to that, I just challenge you to think about why you're here on this earth. And you're not here to go to college and waste all your time. Now, I still go to social gatherings. I still go and I hang out with people who maybe I don't necessarily agree with everything they do, but I go there out of love for the person. And I really do think that it's a good thing to still be friends with people, even if you don't necessarily think that everything is quite there. If that was the case, I guess Chris would have left me a long time ago. But reality is that there's a lot of things at school that are gonna could lead you down a wrong path. And getting ahead of the 8 ball in terms of resisting that temptation is going to do you a lot of favors. But this isn't going to be a very popular opinion here. Chris and I, what we're talking about, you talk to a lot of college kids, even what I guarantee you there will be a lot of them good grades, good people. They're going to tell you that it's okay to indulge on the weekends. It's okay to um, engage in what we would call escapism, where it's like, oh, the week was stressful. Let me just escape reality for a few hours with alcohol or marijuana or unfortunately other things. And I'm not here to lay condemnation on that. We're adults. We make our own decisions, and I've made decisions in the past that I'm not proud of. And I can speak and say that the number one thing I would have done if I was a college freshman is to be strong and resist. And I wouldn't have even come to that conclusion if it wasn't for faith and finding a deeper purpose in life. Um, I already had that purpose freshman year. I just wanted to serve other people and to love other people, but I was so distracted by the grandeur of pleasure. And when I came to faith in Christ, I kind of had that grace to at least give my best effort in resisting those things. So I think the number one key for being successful in college is kind of blazing your own trail. You may think you're a little weird for doing it, especially any Christians or anybody who's religious coming into college who's devout. You're going to be thinking to yourself, oh, I'm going to be that weird guy who doesn't drink on the weekends, who doesn't maybe necessarily, maybe you go to parties, but you'll be that person who's just drinking water out of the cup and kind of,
You
yeah, kind
already
of just
know, man. You already know, man.
get some Gatorade, you
Mhm.
know, high in sugar. So maybe not the best option unless you're working out, if that's the case. So, Chris, I want to hear your thoughts. Since you are somebody who came into college with the mindset that I have now, which is I want to serve God, I want to live my purpose, and I want to be successful. Versus with me, it was, yeah, I want to be successful and serve people, but I want to also indulge. I had the wrong mentality. You had the right mentality. Now we both made mistakes, but what were some of the keys to really honing in on that purpose and avoiding some of these temptations?
Man, I mean, I think for me, to be honest, like it's all in your mind. It's all about having the right mentality for real, for real. Like that's really what kept me from doing some of the stuff that I could have easily just been like, all right, let me try it, just one time, it's not gonna kill me, how them people out there be like,
Wow.
oh, it was just one time. I think for me, I just got that strong mind to know that if I were to do it that one time, it cost me my life for real. Cause heard different, I've just heard different, stories about how people have tried to do stuff, like drink, smoke, and, do all this stuff that is not good for your body. That's what really kept me from doing some of that stuff because I was that type of dude that listened in like their class. You know what I'm saying? I listened, because that like literally like in I think it was like sixth grade, we took a dare class. I took a dare class. I don't know if you took it, but I took this dare class for real.
Yeah,
For
yeah. In fact, we went to the same grade school, so we had Officer Tanner.
Yeah, yeah, that was the man. That's all. That's really what it took for real. Like when I was young, because I was instilled in that, I was instilled in that sense of knowledge early. To know
Yeah,
that if you smoke, if you drink, this is what could happen to you. And in my mind, as a young kid, I'm like, I don't want that to happen to me. I'm not gonna mess my body up just so I can fit in with other people. I'm never about trying to please other people. It's about me for real. You know what I'm saying? Like when people look at me be like, you 21, like I'm 21, still haven't had a drink yet. I'm cool with that, you know what I'm saying? Because it's not really something I want to do. Because I understand the type of effects that it can have on people. It's nothing like literally like you don't gain anything from doing that. Like if I were to do that, I would literally like killing myself. Like I'd be messing up my body for real. And I want to
yeah,
be able to, remain healthy. I want to be able to, live long and stuff like that. And also me growing up in a household where my parents rarely did that. The only time I really saw them do it was like maybe one time, but it was a special occasion and they just had a little bit. But majority of the time they rarely drank. They rarely drink. Like, and they also instilled in me like, yo, like that's not something that, you know, is really good for you in the long run. You know what I'm saying? Like we just heard all these stories about people, you know, getting drunk or getting high to the point where, they're not even themselves anymore. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So
I think really there's a compounding impact with mental health and substances because we talked about this last year. The generation we're growing up, it's not good for our brains. Even if you don't take any substances, just the fact that we have access to constant instant gratification on our cell phones, on our computers, on video games, television, um, all of that really just it kind of puts your brain in like this state. I can't speak for everyone, but I know I speak for a lot of people. Where you're itching for something. You're itching for something. And if you have a lot of alcohol or maybe you smoke marijuana, whatever you're doing, that instantly kind of temporarily alleviates that itch and it makes you feel really good. And you're around people and it's the weekend and you're living your own life and you're just like, whoa, this is like a thrill. This is awesome. And then you come crashing down the next day and you want to repeat on Saturday night. And then Sunday, you try to muster some homework. And then Monday, and then you just dread it. I think the number one thing I tell people is that they're thinking, oh no, I don't want to follow down that path, but man, am I tempted to do it. Here's the thing. Obviously, there's a very real spiritual aspect to that problem. But I think we should conclude in talking about how there are different ways that you can get help for that. For me, it took a big wake up call. As Chris said, when I was in the hospital for some time with a mental illness that was not depression, but the after effect of it is severe depression. And it kind of just left my brain the haywire. But in that time is when I said, you know what, I've gone this far down. It's time for me to come back up. And the only person who can do that, I thought was Christ. And now I know it's Christ. But anybody who's struggling, and if you're skeptic of religion or you're not sure about it, I tell you, there's also the material aspect of just taking care of your brain. If you feel itchy all the time, like if you're not able to sit down and get work done and you're like kind of losing your mind, like just being normal at school, at work, even in your leisure time, you seriously need to speak to someone, a professional. And you need to describe it in a way that your parents will understand. And I think the best way to describe it, some parents are very understanding, other parents don't really know too much about mental illness. The best way to describe it is I don't feel like my brain is healthy and it's causing my mind to not be in a good state. And I think a lot of college students need to have that honest conversation. And it's hard to have because you just want to continue to go through escapism. And there's like a blockage there that disallows you from asking for help. So I urge everyone, if you're in high school right now, or even if you're in college, the number one thing is if you are feeling itchy, or another way I'll describe it is you wake up after 9 hours of sleep and you're dead tired and you don't want to do anything, telltale sign of depression. So the way you can alleviate this, the thing that helped me the most, other than the medical, was obviously faith. There's a supernatural element to it that happened to me. But from the purely medical and scientific standpoint, there is a way to really get yourself out of that. And you want to get yourself out of that as fast as you can. Now, it may take really a year or two to see significant progress. But as soon as that progress starts, you can get yourself out of that rut. And you don't have to look to substances to help you anymore. Or should I say it's more of a faux type of help?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And as me and him are sitting here, discussing this topic, man, I think it's important. I figured this would be one of my unique episodes because we want to be able to reach the youth, man. You know what I'm saying? We want to be able to reach the young people going into this level, man. Because me and him, we almost done, man. We about to be seniors and we about to
Yeah,
graduate.
well, I actually missed a whole semester
Oh,
with
that's
what
oh yeah,
happened.
that's right, for real.
So I'm be graduating on time, but it will be a semester after you, Chris. But
Oh yeah, that's
good things
right.
are
Yeah,
happening. Good
okay,
things are
yeah.
happening here at school.
But yeah, man. But you eventually like you know be done with college, and then after college, you're gonna have to find you're gonna have to find what you want to do for the rest of your life. So, while you had this opportunity, I say like, going to college, like it's a great time. Don't get me wrong, it's a great time. But you want to be able to obviously go in with a purpose. Like my man Karen said, go in with that purpose. Don't go in just thinking, oh, I'm just gonna, use this time to do, to go out and party and do all this other stuff that you wouldn't be doing if you was at home. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying like, you gotta just sit in your room all day. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying you have to spend all your time doing work. I mean, obviously, have a social life, have fun, but be responsible about it. You know what I'm saying? That's basically our main message, to the people that's going into high school, man. because a lot of people that go into high school, man, coming out of high school going to college, that can be a tough transition. That can be a tough transition. You know what I'm saying? So that's where, we give you this advice right now to just let y'all know, take it seriously, man. Like, because it's your life. If things don't happen the way you want them to, that's your fault. So if you come out of college and you still don't know what you're doing, look back and think, what did I do for those 4 or 5 or however long you stay in college for? Look back and be like, man, like maybe I shouldn't have, spent so much time trying to party and trying to please people, try to please all these folks that, at the end of the day, they ain't gonna, be worried about you once they well off into their careers. And I think that's one of the things, that's one of the problems that people get caught up in, is trying to be socially accepted by everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, I don't care. I'm gonna be me all the time. Like I don't care if you like it, or don't like it, for real. I'm just gonna stay me. Like I'm gonna be, completely honest. I'm gonna just, basically just stay in my bag. You know what I mean? And it may not look normal to people, but it's all good because I'm not trying to please people. And I think that's the reason why people get caught up in doing stuff like smoking and drinking and partying and making wrong decisions, is because they want to try to impress other people. That's one of the big things. They trying to impress others. It's like nobody really care about you. If something were to happen to you, you think that person will come help you? Heck no. You gonna be by yourself. If you needed money, you think that person gonna give you money? Nah. But they give you smoke though. They say, hey, come try this right here. But when you really in danger though, think about that. That's how I be though. That's really how I be. If they gotta give up something for you, only the real, like I rarely see people do that for other people these days, man. Nobody really giving up like they money and time and all that just to come save you. So, just think about that as you approach. When you trying to go on Instagram, trying to, flex your muscles or try to show your skin or your flesh, man. Just remember that, man. Like, who you trying to impress? People only like people only are impressed when you give them something. But once it's time for you, when it's time for them to get to you, that's when you find out who your real friends are. So
Yeah. People will like what you look like and what you present, but they'll love who you are, and they'll love for who you are on the inside.
absolutely,
And my
absolutely,
last thought is just don't be afraid of what college is going to present. If it's one thing I do appreciate about what I've learned, especially this year, this may be an upperclassman thing, but people are at the point where it's like you gotta, and I don't completely respect this view, but at least it works kind of to my favor because people don't think I'm weird for not indulging and being all about the faith. Because people are like, oh, you got to do what's good for you. Now that doesn't mean everything people are doing is good for them, but that also means don't be afraid to be your own person and go against the grain and be loving about it. You don't need to be like on a pedestal about this or act like you're better than other people because you don't struggle with some of these things. Instead, you gotta invite them in and you gotta empower them. You don't have to be a football coach to empower young men or you know a coach for young women on the sports team, basketball or soccer, anything, right? You don't have to be a sports coach to just empower people. You can be an 18-year-old college student who meets a group of friends who are, you know, and one of them opens up to you about, hey, like I'm not feeling right, or my somebody passed away in my family. That's an opportunity to change someone's life for the better just by loving them. So my last thought is the most important thing is to love others, but also you must love yourself and you must take care of yourself.
yeah, man. I like that. That's a great. That's a great point. Love yourself because nobody else is, man. Love yourself. That's important. You know what I'm saying? So if you if you don't take nothing else from what we just said, man, just remember, when you go into this journey, I mean, from high school to college or wherever journey you decide to go on, Just remember, man, you gotta take responsibility for what you do, man. Take responsibility. Everything once you get out here, once you get away from your parents, everything is on you now. So if something don't happen, it's on you. That's the beauty of being in college, being away from home, is that the decision you make is gonna follow you for the rest of your life. So if you decide that you're just gonna mess around, that's gonna be on you. You can't be like, well, it was this person's fault. He made me do this. She made me do that. It's all you. Everything that happened from here on out, once you become 18 and you grown, everything, is controlled by you. Cause you ain't gonna have no parents there telling you, oh, get up and go to school, or get up and wash your clothes, or get up and take this trash out. Like, no, it's everything gonna be on you, man. So just remember that, just have a vision, have a plan for what you want to do in your life. Because I'm telling you, the harder you work now, because my dad always told me this when I was coming up. He said, you can either pay now or you can pay later, right? So if you decide I'm gonna put in the work now, your journey is gonna be a lot easier. If you decide I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna waste my time, it's gonna be a lot harder. Because you may not get some of the opportunities that some of these other students have been putting in work is gonna get. That's how you get opportunities. Is you putting the work now. You make your connections now. Make some meaningful connections that's gonna help you grow. That's gonna challenge you to think, and that's gonna, be able to put you in that situation of success. So that's really the ultimate thing, for real, for real. Just for y'all young cats out there, man, because I know how it was like going to college. I know I was just like y'all, man. Like I was like, man, I can't wait to go to college and do all this stuff I never got to do. Cause I'm tell you right now, like the house I grew up in, my parents pretty strict, man. They was pretty strict, man. So, I know for some of y'all thinking like, man, like I got them parents too who don't let me do nothing. But I think for me it was pretty good because it instilled that discipline in me to be able to make those right decisions and not get caught up in the wrong ones. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm out here. I feel like I'm thriving, man. I feel like I'm thriving. So just remember that, man, as you go about your journeys, man. But but yeah, man. I think I think that was a good. I think that was a good conversation, man. I thought it was a pretty good conversation to have, man.
Yeah,
I,
it was a good.
yeah, man. I
I
appreciate you
think we
coming.
did were able to really share our experience, and really this is going to be great to listen to for anybody who's entering into this stage of young adulthood.
Yes, sir, man. I know, man, because we talk about disinfecting your life, man. It starts with here, man. It starts with here, man. All starts like when you young. When you young, what I'm saying? I'm still young too. I'm probably not much older than most of y'all, man. Like I said, I'm only 21 years old. I know, Karen, I think you what? You
20.
you 20. You still 20. Yeah, you still a baby, bro. You ain't even legal yet. But yeah, man, like I said, I mean, we only like maybe a couple years. I mean, depending on uh, what year you are, in high school or wherever you at. Yeah, we've only been out of high school for about 3 years. But we've been able to be in college long enough to see some of the stuff that happens, and some of the stuff that's good, and some of the stuff that's not so good. So we just want to make sure that whoever's listening, whoever young cat listening out there, man, just like I said, don't get caught up in doing the wrong stuff, man, because you're gonna regret it later in your life. You're gonna look back and be like, man, I should have not did this, or man, I should have done this. Maybe I would have been better off, later in my life. So we just trying to prevent that, so you can go and have a successful life, man. You know what I'm saying? But hey, man, this your boy Chris Simmons coming to you with another episode with my man Karen. This man,
Right.
I can get him back on for another one of these, man. I enjoy having a conversation with my dog. It's always good to catch up with him because I know me and him stay busy throughout the week, man, with school and everything. We got our own, issue with homework. That's what you're gonna get. Homework. Yep, yep. Until you graduate school, and it's still gonna be there. So just remember, like, if you think, high school was a lot, like I said, when you on your own, listen, it's gonna be a whole different game. So yeah, me and him, we be doing homework. We be taking care of our business, but it's all good to see each other, man. But Yeah, man. Hopefully, I'll be able to have this man back on. We'll be able to probably do a part two, man. Part two of this series, man. We might just make it a whole series for real. But like I said, man, this your boy. We out of here, man. Take care. Peace.